Board that I quickly knocked up, just basically to show people how to fuse, how I fuse. There is no right and wrong. I know people around that don't put fuses at all on their 240 or their output side. Personally I do, because I've seen the spark that happens when you short a couple of wires together in these. For instance, you're talking a lot of current that these things can produce. They should auto shut down on a dead short. I've got a 24 volt power supply at home that does not do that, and it's one of the Ray Wu supplied ones, and I know that because I actually shorted out the wires when I cut some wires that were still powered up, and it literally melted the wires. It did not shut down. I tried it afterwards, I shorted it out again, and it simply provided about 80 amps through a little tiny cable about yay big, and was pretty impressive. So personally, I actually fuse everything. I haven't got power to this one. There's no need, but I normally put on the active line, I put a fuse. Here's one I prepared earlier. This is one of my boxes. Over here is actually all the 240 volt goes through a fuse here. You don't need to, you can rely on your circuit breaker back at your board. I'm an electrician by trade, so it's just normally something that I would do. So hence, yeah, all the power goes through a fuse there. Coming out here, you'll see I've actually got, well, okay, who's used a P2? The P2s don't provide power through the board. Things like your P12Rs, the Stellascapes ones, there's a few others, have fuses on the board. The P2s, you've got to provide your own fuse. So what I've got here is the thin cables supply power to the P2, so that's just for its own electronics. I fuse that as well. You don't necessarily have to, but I thought if anything goes on with the board, I'd probably put a 500 milliamp fuse, just in case something happens on the board. So again, thin wires allow me in the boards, you can see thin wires here, they're usually things for control supply. They're not anything that provides any sort of power to pixels, to LEDs, to whatever. The thicker wire, the negative goes straight across to what I would normally have as the output, and the other positive connection just goes through a fuse and out to the output. And this is just the clock and data. This is set up for 280 ones, only a clock / data for the 281 ones is required. And that's all I do. I've got other controllers like this which have got a little bit more fancy fusing, because on this board here I've got DMX splitters over in the corner, so there's a fuse for the DMX splitters. And they're also power over DMX, because things such as the lights that I showed you there actually have a DMX with a 12 volt supply on the DMX, one of the spare DMX, or one of the spare cables going out to provide power to the board. Over here I've got, actually that's another David AVD DMX splitter. Here I've got fuses running for the two Ray Wu 27 channel controllers, and also in a lot of my boards I've got some fairly high current extra supplies out to, in this case, 12 volt items. My Star, my Megatree Star, and a couple of other items are 12 volt, and they've got controllers which sit neatly inside these. So they're the 27 channel controllers, and all I do is I just connect the power supply from there out to it. These ones are 12 volt, this one's set up for 5 volts, so you don't need to have an additional power supply for these. If anyone wants to know how to mod these to run on 5 volts rather than 12, 24, let me know and I'll let you know after. Yeah, I tend to colour code a lot of my cables here too. So these ones here are 24 volt or DMX, these are DMX, and these are the connectors out to various lights. And that's it for fusing. That's how I do fusing. I tend to fuse all the outputs from the power supply to each of the boards, just for safety. I've seen a few people that haven't, and yeah, it's a bit scary.
All I do is end up buying more controllers.
Yes. Yeah, especially with the P2s, and I've seen a few people try to draw power off the P2s. It does not work. It's alright for 2 or 3 lights as a quick test. Any more than that, forget about it. Set something up like that.
So those ones are there though?
That's the P2 there, yeah.
And you're fusing there?
Yes, I'm fusing these two.
There's no fuses in there?
I haven't got fuses in there, but
so
the first two fuses.
Going for these type?
Yeah, just the plug-in type.
Okay.
That was only set up for a demo here.
Yep. Where did you pick those up from?
These ones here, we bought a bunch of those off eBay, wasn't it? Okay. And they were about $3 or $4 each for those styles.
It's about $5 now for the
Are they?
6-way fuse one.
Oh, okay, well they're the 4-way ones. So these ones here are from David AVD. They're about $25 or thereabouts. The beauty of these,
Hanson Electronics has just got one as well.
are they similar size style to his?
6 fuse breakboard.
Right.
And it's about $22.
Okay, I'll have to have a look at that. The reason I do like these ones, when he first brought them out, they were fairly, I won't say unique, but they were, available. They do have an LED on the board to tell you if a fuse blows. So as soon as the fuse blows, the LED lights up. It's really handy to be able to walk up and go, oh, yeah, hang on, that one's blown. Find the reason first before you replace the fuse. Otherwise, when you put it in, they tend to blow straight away. Yeah, that's it. And videoing, use a DSLR if you can. Most of them tend to have video. Set it for 50th of a second. Set it up outside. I use the Rode microphone for video here, or for audio here. I don't use it for doing the display. I tend to add the audio later. Your little handheld video cameras will do a reasonable job, as will your iPhones, but they're simply not the quality of a reasonable DSLR. And if you've got one available, use it. If you don't, hey, find your local camera club. A lot of us have got local camera clubs. Say, do you mind doing a video of my display, and can I get a copy of it later? Yeah, that one's hunting for focus. It doesn't like it over here. That's what I'd suggest, and I've done a couple of displays, haven't I, Ben?
Yes, which we'll see later.
Yeah, which I'll say, someone will see later. Yeah, and but before that, I actually had a guy come round, and I was using a little handheld video camera. He showed me the quality, and I had cameras like that at the time, and I was amazed with the quality of the video. I went, why aren't I doing that? Hence now I do.
That guy came round, he took photographs of mine one year.
Yeah.
A DVD in the box.
Yeah, that's perfect. Good. I tend to get a lot of people come up, oh, can I video your display? Yes, and please let me know when it's on YouTube or when it's on Vimeo or whatever, or on Facebook. It's another way of actually getting your displays out there, and that's one thing that I tend to do is, I'm usually on the news, I'm on the radio, I'm on in local papers. Last year I had ABC do a video story on me that ended up on News 24 and also what's the one on 7:30 Report, yeah, which was great. It got a lot more people to come and see the display because we raise money for charity. Thank you.